PBS Hawaiʻi Classics is sponsored by the Olson Trust.
Today on Spectrum, we watch a Hawaiian hula film project sponsored by the Bishop Museum. Rare film footage of past hula practices from the 1930s has been corrected and restored to serve as a teaching aid and a historical document. Also, a melody from the Royal Kingdom of Tonga will be sung by the Tongan Young Adult Choir. But first, Hawaii Public Television's Mel Farinas visits with Ishu Patel, a native of India, now a Canadian. Mr. Patel has won numerous awards for his novel techniques in animation. Here he shows Spectrum the new types of material he uses, as well as selections from his work.
Ishu, most people are familiar with this type of animation. It's called cell animation, where you draw and paint hundreds and hundreds, sometimes even thousands of pictures to get what they are looking for. When you're not involved with this technique, maybe you can explain to us what methods you use.
Okay, well, Mel, the kind of traditional cell technique which Disney really used it in his lot of films, that has been really getting very expensive because you really have to have so many people to work on it, and so many people has to use to paint, and there are piles and piles of drawing. Really gets very, very expensive. And if it's a half-an-hour film or 1 hour film, you can imagine how many drawings you need. So people have been developing different kind of things over the years, and one of the very simple one is the cutout technique we call, where you don't have to draw the same drawing over and over again. Instead, you have the drawing made into different parts, different section, and then you can use the hands and the legs and the eyes and a mouth and a nose and different pieces separately, and then manipulate it on the camera. I'll give you a very simple example of, for example, let's say this is a square here. If you have to do with a traditional method the same square, if the square is moving from this position to this position like that on a screen, that square will be drawn several times. That means this square has to be drawn over and over again, has to be painted, colored, and so on. Whereas with cutout techniques, you can put the same square here, and then most likely take one frame, most likely take one frame, most likely take one frame, and then eventually the square reaches there. So that means you have one piece of square which you just manipulate under the camera frame by frame. You must also remember that animation camera shoots single frame at a time. You can never have to run the camera continuously. And it's a very sophisticated machines often used. And in the schools and colleges, often they use Super 8 cameras which shoot single frames. So you can really manipulate character like that. Now that's a simple one. Sometimes you can use complex one, like a little character. Here's a little character you see, the little boy, and there's his shirt here and his legs and everything. So you can really manipulate those. We haven't had all the parts here separately, but you can have this hand separately, legs separately, and you practically make him walk, make him do things what you want to do it. So that's one aspect of it. Then there are various other things people use, and actual material. I have used in one of my film the beads, and you can see here some of the beads, which the little girl or young girl makes necklaces out of it, and the Indians and so on use for their decorations on their clothes and so on. So these kind of other material you could use it, and here I'll just show you a few. You just leave the beads here on the, of course they are loose like that. So now you can form any shape you want. So either you can shape it like that, take one frame, and you can shape it slightly more like that. Now that's something very, very simple. But you can also line them up with a little brush like that. And if you line them up one by one at a time, like this, you have made a drawing out of beads actually, instead of drawing everything. Now this line is a mobile line. It's just flexible line there. Let's suppose this is the line here right now. Now if this line is twisting like that, all you have to do is to frame by frame change the position of the line. Sometimes you can use the actual object to put them in a line like that, or like that, curve them like that slightly, and so forth and so on. Or very fine movements could be done by the brush. Now this is just a simple one, but you can just the way you draw any animal or a human figure, you line them up beads in that form, and that would make it look like an animal, and then you change it frame by frame what actually is supposed to do. So these are some of the things people use. People have used sand under the camera, and you shape them into different shapes, and everything else depends on your imaginations, how you do it.
Your technique seems to be an individual technique where you alone control everything, whereas this technique seems to involve many people doing many different things. You find this, as far as expression of art, this is more personal.
Well, this kind of extra new mediums also gives you different visual quality on the screen first. Secondly, it also gives you a freedom to try some different subject which you cannot do always with cartoons or this kind of practice animation which most of the people are familiar with. So having different materials, having cutouts or sand or things like plasticine or something, we go for this kind of new ideas which then gives you possibilities to go into different kind of subject areas, sometimes very serious subjects. Often people associate cartoon or funny, few jokes, little man with a big nose, and few bing bang bang. Whereas this one you can go into the very serious subject matters and so on. So it has a personal expression. Yes.
And your materials actually help you to interpret your feeling.
Sure, the material gives you the kind of action. Material also gives you the style of animation. Material also gives you the style of concepts and ideas. So it's just another tool which also is slightly cheaper in terms, one-man show, one person controls everything, he originates the idea, he animates it, he doesn't have to draw anything because the material is there. And you go under the camera and work for several weeks or months and keep shooting one after another. Something else I have used, which is plasticine in some cases I have used, and this is the plasticine kids use for making models. Now there is also plasticine animation scene where you make three-dimensional models and you move the hands and the legs and the face and everything and shoot single frame. People are familiar with this type of stuff. It's called kind of frame by frame sculpturing. But I've also tried something else, which is you backlight plasticine under the camera and you draw all your character in there, and when the light shines through the plasticine, then you change every frame, you change slightly your drawing. It's like sculpturing under the camera.
What do you think computer graphics will do to animators like you and me?
Well, I think I've been investigating lately about what the computer would do. I've been in process of planning a film, and I really discovered that it's very costly to use the machines. First of all, it's in a very early stage. There's a lot of technical gadgets are involved, hardware and software are involved. there are various companies are making various kind of effect animation, and there is no coordination between among the industry. So what happens that you can do something here with this particular system, something else here you have to go in California, some other kind of effects you have to go to Denver, and this kind of system has been individually developed by the people, and they guard it very secretly. So when I go and when I'm making a film, when I go to one particular system, they tell me that there is a restriction here. We can only do this, but for this you have to go somewhere else. And so when I go somewhere, so there is no one particular system exists where the artist doesn't have to worry about the limitations. And it's very, very costly. So I don't know where it's going to go. Maybe the cost will come down one day and it will be used. But all my impression and people who work in animation, their impression is that it will never take over. It will become one more tool, like from cell animation to cutouts to plasticine to sand to beads. It will be computer animation. It has a certain slick look, and you can only do so much with that kind of look. But it will never replace what we are doing.
The art of hula is an important Hawaiian legacy. Vivienne Mader was a New York dancer who visited Hawaii to learn the hula in 1931. She returned many times, often with a motion picture camera. The results of her enthusiasm is now the subject of a recent documentary led by the efforts of Bishop Museum scholar Dr. Elizabeth Tatar. Dr. Tatar is an anthropologist who specializes in music, otherwise known as an ethnomusicologist. She studies music from a cultural point of view. Commonly, anthropologists study cultural relationships with the artifacts available to them. They're trained to explore a culture by interpreting its habits, customs, and symbols. A decorative feather collar may serve as a mark of rank, while a hollowed-out gourd may be rendered as a musical instrument. As a prominent cultural resource, the Bishop Museum is the likely recipient of such gifts from generous donors.
Vivienne Mader, when she died in 1972, left an enormous collection of traditions of hula and music that she documented in Hawaii between the years 1930 and 1935. In 1981, we started getting the first shipment of Vivienne Mader's collection. In 1982, an even larger shipment came in. I was very surprised that one lady, of course she had 50 years to do it, but one lady could amass as much material as she did. She was deeply interested in Hawaiian culture, that was obvious. She collected not only what pertained to dance in particular, but to the culture in general.
As a professional dancer, Vivienne Mader was also interested in the ability of film to capture movement. Dr. Tatar has made an extensive study of the Hawaiian dances which Miss Mader has captured on film, as well as other notes and charts drawn from her collection.
In the 20s and 30s, I believe there was a great interest on the mainland in incorporating ethnic dance movements into modern dance. She came to Hawaii, and I think she was one of the first to see the beauty of Hawaiian dance, the art in Hawaiian dance, the complexity of the movements and the expression.
Vivienne Mader had met and worked with most of the well-known teaching masters of her time.
There was a print which I viewed, and on that print there were dances of Joseph Ilala Ole, Akoni Mika, Catherine Kanahele, Kavena Pukui, and the La'anui family. And as soon as I saw that, I knew that this was a very valuable collection. And I could tell that this was something that we should work on and something to try to get back to the community, because it was that important to hula. I was terribly interested in this collection because it had sound. Dance in Hawaii is really dependent on music. However, this collection also has a lot to do with dance.
One might question, what is an ethnomusicologist doing studying dance?
Hula refers simply to dance. But you cannot have dance without chant. Dance by itself does not exist in Hawaii or any part of Polynesia without chants. The choreography depends on the poetry, the mele, and poetry must always be chanted.
John Charlot and Paul Clark of the East-West Center, sponsor of the Hawaii International Film Festival, indicated to Dr. Tatar that a finished version of a Vivienne Mader film might be shown to the public through their festival.
The Mader film could be very important for the Hawaiian public because hula is at the center of the Hawaiian Renaissance, at the center of this resurgence of Hawaiian culture.
John Charlot, author of Chanting the Universe, is now actively involved with a public display of films that enhance our knowledge of other cultures.
Well, the East-West Center is a scholarly institution, so some people are surprised that we have a film festival, but of course, film is a very important art form and should be studied as such.
Joining Charlot in the film festival activities is historian Paul Clark, who has recently published a book on Chinese film.
I think the Mader film epitomizes what the whole of the film festival is about, that we run here out of the East-West Center, that we can bring artifacts from another culture and show them to a broad public in Hawaii and get a real immediate sense of another culture in a way that no other art form really conveys so effectively.
As an author of books on Hawaiian culture and music, Dr. Elizabeth Tatar is particularly fitted to approach a subject of this nature. But a film project requires instruments uncommon to the traditional scholar. Dr. Tatar employs sensitive technology that will remove the hissing and static of old records. Allowing the purified version to be taped with Swiss precision. The medium of moving images is an apt archive for the dance. During her efforts of matching music with movement, Dr. Tatar made a discovery.
Having viewed this film, I see a big difference. It's a historical difference, too. This film was made 1930 to 1935, and what we see today in 1984 is really quite different. The hula has changed. The movements have changed. The focus of the dance has changed. And our reason for having this film out is to give a perspective to today's community of what the hula was like.
Dr. Tatar believes that Miss Mader's unique legacy may prove instructive to today's audience.
It is just a document, a very loving document by this one woman of a dance tradition as it existed in the 1930s.
Helen Beamer and the talented ladies of her family strongly influenced the directions hula ku'i would take in the entertainment world of Waikiki. As shown by these performances she and her family staged on the grounds of the Royal Hawaiian Hotel in 1934 and 35. Vivienne Mader, who dances with this group, considered herself a protege of Helen. Okay, let's stop here and roll back.
In the film studios of George Tahara, Dr. Tatar records her narration for the historical dance documentary.
Helen Beamer and the talented ladies of her...
Hold it. Okay, stand by. We're going to roll film. Okay, at what point do you want to pick it up? At the beginning?
Yes, a little bit earlier. I was too fast.
She's assisted by sound engineer Terry on the controls.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, pick up the scene, the next change in the scene.
Helen Beamer and the talented ladies.
When Dr.
of her
Tatar
family
assumed responsibility for the project, she realized that she must seek the best assistance available, for the time was short.
in 1934 and 35. We have to do that over. I kicked the mic.
Okay.
How was I to have
Turn.
a presentation that was worthy of the museum and also worthy of the audience? I don't want to kill the audience by showing raw footage. How was I to get a project together in essentially 2 months, 2.5 months?
She found the answer by consulting local filmmaker George Tahara.
The original film that was brought to us from the museum was shot at 16 frames per second. It is now corrected to 24 frames per second. From this point, Terry, the sound engineer, working with Dr. Tatar, must do the following things. First, it must be projected. Second, the music, which Dr. Tatar has already collected to accompany these scenes, had to be changed in speed. Literally, each musical score that was selected for these scenes would now be sped up or slowed down to match the picture. Let us assume now that the music closely syncs to the picture itself. Terry, the editor, and Dr. Tatar now goes into the editing room.
Yeah.
They use a machine that is known as a flatbed.
While working on this film project, Dr. Tatar came to recognize and appreciate Vivienne Mader's singular contribution to Hawaiian heritage and culture, due in no small part to the age in which she lived.
When Huapala collected in the 30s, hula and Hawaiian traditions were not as popular as they are today. I think that if today one person like her were to go out and try a similar project, they would not be as successful. One is not apt to just give out as freely as Vivienne's teachers were in those days. She was so sensitive to the culture. She seemed to have this innate urging to get the truth about a dance or a chant.
Folk songs may be sung by soloists, trios, or choirs. Here to sing and dance a lullaby composed for the royal family of Tonga is the Tongan Young Adult Choir of the First United Methodist Church of Honolulu.